brothers and sisters, and friends, and I see some enemies.
Hey, let's talk about Revolutionaries.
Revolution is the only solution. Revolution is the only solution. Revolution is the only solution. Revolution. You hear what I say?
I believe I'm gonna die half the people. I'm gonna die for the people because I live for the people. I live for the people because I love the people.
I mean, these guys are essentially our only hope, and they're all dead. Which is why for a real freedom fighter, you have to learn the lessons that the deceased have left behind. Look, we got people like Brother Malcolm, Fred Hampton, Huey P. I mean, I can go on and on about these guys. Because for all of early American history, it was Africans who had this nation rested over their backs. It was them who translated raw materials into wealth for their white overlords, and for decades were seen as subhuman, like livestock. When soon, through wars that only held the interests of keeping the nation together, slaves were released into the world. A cruel fate that resulted in many returning to a routine similar to slavery through sharecropping. Except the overseer didn't even need to be on the plantation, as the nation was unified and could efficiently punish those who resisted the law. Except those that burn crosses, as they are the ones who fuel the bigoted fire that warms the seats of many homes, police stations, and governmental buildings. Racism is much more popular than anti-racism, and a mass call for liberation through black nationalism, an ideology revolving around uplifting African Americans of their own nation, would surely be met with arms from most citizens in the United States. But before we elaborate further on this ordeal, let us discuss the man who started the movement for freedom first. May 19, 1925, Malcolm X was born. The original proponent for black nationalism started out as a very lost man who was sentenced to prison for home invasion. During his sentence, however, he began to envision a better world, one where black babies aren't funneled through a system that starts them in ghettos with rooms that reflect the ones seen inside prisons, except with conditions that leave many bodies without clothes or heat, and stomachs without proper food or water. A cruel reality that only perpetuates a world of crime, intentionally and inevitably leading many to the incarceration system, a place where Malcolm saw himself for the first time. Feeling tainted by the white man's world, women, and religion, he converted to Islam, and upon leaving prison in 1952, the Nation of Islam had 400 members. But given the speeches, activism, and charity seen from Malcolm's heart, it helped spread the Islamic movement and raised its members to 40,000 in just 8 years. Of course, speculation regarding Malcolm's death still remains. However, it is largely accepted that the Nation of Islam believed Malcolm to be a threat to the cause, as his influence could have landed him a place at the top of the organization. Malcolm was slowly kicked away from the Nation of Islam and continued to push for black nationalism. Soon, though, he was forced into hiding. But Malcolm was a fighter. And so after emerging from hiding, he gave a speech. A speech that would be his last. While speaking in front of a crowd that included his family, 2 gunmen emerged from the crowd and fired upon Malcolm. A tragic event for black liberation, but a stroke of good news for the Nation of Islam and the FBI. He died February 21st, 1965, at the age of 39.
Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton of the Illinois Black Panther Party.
August 30th, 1948, Fred Hampton was born. As a child in Chicago, he'd served breakfast to his peers, and as an adolescent, protested against his own school in the search of social justice. After that, he went to a local college to study the system and law in order to use it against those who controlled it. This inevitably led him to adopting the principles of Marxist-Leninism, and at 18, he aligned himself with the struggle of the people in China, Cuba, and Vietnam. Hampton soon joined as a member of the Black Panther Party and formed the Rainbow Coalition, a union of groups from all different races that came together in solidarity against America's oppression. This ability to organize caused him to be chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. Hampton, like Malcolm, had a gift for speaking the truth. He also saw how abandoned his community was from the state, and realized that the path to liberation lied within cooperation, which is why the FBI used a rat to drug him, as when he went to sleep into his room one fateful night, there was no chance of him ever waking up again. He died December 4th, 1969, at the young age of 21.
In the mid-60s, at so-called Liberation School supported by the Black Panther Party, he was a revolutionary hero.
Huey P. Newton! And where's Huey? In jail!
February 17th, 1942, Huey P. Newton was born. He was a son of a sharecropper in the South, but due to the increased violence caused by Klansmen, they moved to Oakland, California, where even those who saw themselves opposite to the Klan still found themselves carrying out their will. Black people, even in accepted areas, still didn't receive the same sense of belonging, power, or unity that white people had. In college, this resulted in studying Marxist revolutionaries like Fred Hampton did, and with leftist principles, he founded the Black Panther Party, a calling force for all African Americans to unite and mutually uplift one another. In the beginning, it had the purpose of ensuring that black people in this nation had a right to self-defense, but through time, the party spread throughout the country. It had a great goal of supplying food, shelter, and aid to those in need. The prominence of the Black Panther Party became so apparent that in 1970, Huey was invited to visit the People's Republic of China after a prison release. And with so many revolutionaries having Huey's back, it certainly poses a threat to the United States' regime. And so Huey, for unknown reasons, was shot on a corner in West Oakland, California. He died August 22nd, 1989, at the age of 47. A tragic tale for all of these people. These individuals were moved solely by the fact that they were ushering in a better world. And as a result, they've all come to pass. Lesson number 1 for all future revolutionaries. Riding the line between reform and revolution only gives the oppressor the time to pick their side. Goodbye.